This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombernardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, basically by looking at the news, no one is happy this morning about anything. So, it's a good way to start the week, no question about it. Watched a bit of the game yesterday, not a lot. I kind of tuned out all the rest of it. The implication is there was a lot of cheating in the game yesterday. Did you guys watch the game?
Oh, there we go.
Are we go?
There we go.
Yeah.
What the hell? Nice engineer. Did somebody punch you? Why do you have a red mark under your right eye?
It was a rough weekend in the Frederickson household.
Oh, she had to smoke you?
Yeah, something like that.
I knew it.
Yep.
Catherine will do the same thing. Anyway.
Yeah, the Chiefs are America's favorite team to hate currently because
they are, yes.
They're super successful, and anytime that there's a missed holding call or Patrick Mahomes slides late and they throw a flag, people love to go that the refs are on their side. So there's a lot of that, but I think for the most part the games this weekend were pretty straightforward and not a lot of controversy.
Well, God, not on social media, man. On social media, they cheated and cheated and cheated and cheated. It's like, holy, would you settle down? Like I said, I saw some of the game. I didn't see a lot of it. But people are very, very whipped up about this, man. A lot of comments on social media about it and this and that and the other thing. And I don't know. I just want to find out. It seemed to me like everybody. So they're saying basically that KC gets all the good calls, that the referees cheat to help them win.
Yes, it's part of the NFL's hidden agenda to get Taylor Swift more screen time, so
right?
They can, promote her tour, and she can promote the Super Bowl. So yeah, it's a lot of nonsense. But I mean, there are some questionable calls, but typically good teams, the ball tends to bounce their way a little bit more than bad teams.
No, I got to tell you something. If things were reversed. And Tevin, this is directly for you.
Mm-hmm.
If things were reversed and you criticized a black quarterback, these same people who tell you, "Oh, we got to support them," and now they're calling a black quarterback a cheater. Why is that okay all of a sudden?
I like it. We've come full circle. We've come full circle as a society where it used to be, the black quarterback wasn't good enough, and now he's too good, and so he must be cheating.
Now he's too good.
Yeah, we've come a long way. I call it progress for a minute.
The very same people who would throw racism in your face, people like, honkies,
mm-hmm.
are just going after him. He cheats. He does nothing but cheat. So basically, because your team didn't win, now it's okay to go after the black guy.
Yeah, and the Chiefs, people are just fatigued of seeing, because the Chiefs just seem to be better than everybody, and they just keep finding a way to win. And so people were rooting for, like Jaden Daniels and the Commanders to break through and beat the Eagles because everybody hates the Eagles. People were wanting Josh Allen and the Bills because they're, like us, 0-4 in Super Bowls. But let's give them a chance to win so we don't have to see the same Chiefs team win another Super Bowl. And now here we are, stuck with the Chiefs, who are probably going to beat Saquon, who is having an outstanding year. They had 7 rushing touchdowns. I think they tied an NFL record.
Yeah, they had 7 rushing touchdowns yesterday in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Vikings had 9 rushing touchdowns all season.
All season.
Not great.
We had no running back. That team does not have a running back, the Vikings.
No.
I mean, a couple of okay ones, but they don't have the outstanding, the Chuck Foreman of the olden times.
Yeah. There was our running game was very feast or famine. It was either, a 20-yard gain or a 2-yard loss.
Mm-hmm. I just, again, it's what I see on social media is they cheated and it's horrible and it's a disaster and everything sucks. That's what's on social media this morning.
Yeah, my favorite saying is the Chiefs' alternate uniforms have stripes on them because the refs.
They should be in jail.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I watched 4 Super Bowls in which my team got their ass handed to them in all 4. Buffalo's been through the same thing. So maybe someday the Vikings, the time will never come in your lifetime, you're a lot younger than I am, where the Vikings play the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. It'll never happen.
That would be awesome.
It would be great, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And Tom, as watching those Super Bowls, did it feel worse or did it feel better knowing that your team got there? Because I'm torn, where it's like, if we made it and lost, would I be at least happy that we got there? Or do you look back at it as sheer agony?
That was the first one. Well, at least they got to the Super Bowl. Now, next time, well, at least they got to 2 Super Bowls. Now, next time, well, at least they got to 3 Super. You get tired of it, after a while.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, Palomino, can you win the thing? I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. These athletes are so good now. The things that they can do, oh my God, they made miraculous plays. And I'm talking about all 4 teams in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like back in the day, everything was miraculous because they came off of like drinking beer and smoking cigarettes at their second job to go win a Super Bowl. And now it's like just the plays that they make on the field are ridiculous because they're the peak of athleticism.
They are indeed. I didn't watch. I watched a bit of both of the games over the weekend because I'm a Viking fan. I'm an ardent Viking fan, and so I can't sit down and watch 3.5 hours of another team. I can pop in and pop out and do that kind of thing, which is great. I don't know. I love the NFL. I think it's a great sport. Jesus, the scores yesterday. I tell you what, there was no loss of scoring and points in either of the games. So, I mean, they did entertain you, but I just don't. I see a lot of people popping up on social media that are saying there was cheating. It's very obvious there was cheating. I didn't see any of the cheating because I didn't watch enough of the game to see cheating. Do you think there was cheating?
For cheating wise, I think it's more just the refs had.
Okay.
I don't know, just had like a small blunder here and there because there's some things where there's like a jump ball that's chucked down the field, and it's the question that they're looking at, and because they're challenging like who came away with possession, they can't then look at was it actually caught because it hit the ground and all this other stuff, which is weird that you can like look at something on a review and be like, well, we're seeing this, but that's not what they challenged, so we have to ignore this clear evidence, blah blah blah. So I think the refs probably just had the chips fall its way in favor of Kansas City, and there's not much anybody could really do about it.
And I think the most interesting ref part of the weekend was in the Eagles game. So they do like the tush push, and the Commanders kept diving over the pile, and they did it like 3 times in a row. And the refs were like, all right, if you guys keep doing this, we're just going to say they scored a touchdown, and we're going to keep moving. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a rule.
I hate that. Like
the diving over, or
no,
like that they could just say it's a touchdown.
Yeah, because I'm sick of the tush push. So like, Tom, do you want to watch a football game for 11 guys pushing or 10 guys pushing one guy into the end zone, or do you want to see like a lateral?
It's a rugby scrum.
Mary, yeah. Like if I'm the Commanders, I wouldn't have let anybody score a touchdown to pad their stats. I would have let the refs actually decide we're just giving them points.
Right.
Yep.
Well, let me put it this way as we go to break. He's a dear friend of mine. I love the guy. My favorite running back of all time is Chuck Foreman, so I don't remember anybody having to push him into the end zone. I guarantee you
Chuck pushed himself into the
Yes, he did.
Those 2 tree trunks of legs he's got.
He does have some big old legs, but have you guys ever met Chuck?
No.
I have not, no.
We should reach out and have him on the show this week because Chuck Foreman is one great human. Why that guy's not in the Hall of Fame? What the hell? And I blame that on Bud Grant because he keeps pushing. Who is it that he pushes again? Jim Marshall, yeah. And Jim Marshall, great guy too. Wonderful player, no question. But Bud, maybe you should have, before you croaked, maybe you should have pushed Chuck a little bit because he's one of the greatest running backs of all time. Right?
Maybe now that he's moved on, he might have more of a chance.
Now that he's rung down the curtain. Is that what you're saying? And this is not anti because I like Bud's. He had 2 sons. One of them unfortunately died. But both of his sons I really enjoyed. They used to come in and do the show once in a while, or do the podcast. I mean, just had a wonderful, wonderful time. Bud Grant came into my studio either at the Q or the podcast a total of about 7 times, and every time he would go, "And you are?" He did not remember who I was. 7 times in the studio.
That's got to be like a power play. Like, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tell Tom Barnard, I don't know who. Like, come on. You're Bud Grant. You're a Hall of Fame coach. I'm a Hall of Fame radio guy. You know who I am.
There's signs that says
Tom Barnard show.
Giant pictures of his head. Tom Barnard. I'm sorry. What was your name again?
Who are you? Tim, is that you, Tim?
Thom, I heard you go by Thom.
Thom. Yeah, I've been called Thom before. That's very, very true. Thom, Thom. Yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I didn't watch the whole game, either game. I just kind of came and went. I had a lot to do, and it wasn't the Vikings. Therefore, I don't think I could watch an entire Super Bowl if the Vikings aren't in it. I'll watch some of it, but I can't watch all of it. I'm a Viking fan. Mm-hmm. It's like getting kicked in the nuts watching the Super Bowl without the Vikings in it.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we'll take a break, come right back, and we'll blame this all on Phil Mackey right after this, ladies and gentlemen. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608, 952-925-5608. Before I close, I got to throw this in. Had lunch with, I'll just say, a relative of Josh Arnold and Josh, and I don't want to mention it. There were four women with Catherine, and then Josh and I, we had lunch, and the woman, his relative, I don't want to say who it is, but she's 97 years old, and at the end of the lunch, she came over and kissed me on the cheek and hugged me. I almost started crying, honest to God. It was the sweetest damn thing, one of the sweetest things that ever happened to me. So I love you, sister. I hope you know that. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold, Investment Consultant, LLC, Security Investment Advisor. Past performance, no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. And I am a paid endorser.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
If you've never been in an auto accident, it's hard to know what to expect from the insurance adjuster. Here are some tips. 1, if they taught you about whether or not you should hire a lawyer, it's a good sign that you probably should. 2, it's illegal for them to give you any legal advice. They aren't lawyers and they aren't licensed to practice law. 3, if they tell you that everyone involved in the accident is at fault, they're wrong. This comes from the belief that you're at fault for just being on the road. That's nonsense and not supported by any law. Finally, remember that friendly adjusters are often just gaining information. They want you to do most of the talking so they can file their report. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision. But if you are, don't sign anything until you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw & Bryant.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a second to talk about my bank. That would be, of course, Mike Bilski's North American Banking Company. Look, there's no shortage of banking options in the Twin Cities. If you're retired, maybe you're tired of just listening to a big number, your big national bank. Well, be sure to talk to my friends at North American Banking Company. And again, I don't call people my friends if they're not. North American Banking Company, they offer the same online and mobile banking options as other banks, but with the unparalleled service of a community bank. I also like being able to go to any of their 6 Twin Cities locations: Roseville, 50th and France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Go to anybanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Phil Mackey now joins us. Hey, Phil, what time does your show start?
We start recording usually between 8:30 and 9 o'clock.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And then what, do you do a live part as well?
No, we do. We do on Mondays during the season. We do a live stream of Purple Daily at 9. And then on Fridays, we are live at 10 o'clock for Purple Daily. But like 90% of what we do is pre-record, but scheduled with guests and everything. We schedule it like a live schedule.
Yeah.
And then we post on demand, I guess. That's the inside baseball.
What I'm trying to do is kind of squeeze in between you and Joe Soucheray's show, so we don't overlap. And again, it's podcasting, but some people love to listen to things live.
Yeah, and Such is live, right? They're doing a live stream or live YouTube or whatever.
He starts at noon, doesn't he?
Yeah, like noon to 1:30, I want to say.
Yeah. So they got me now. When I move the show, it's like 10:30 to 12:30. But so I should move it back to. I told them to put it 10 to 12, of course, but they couldn't listen to me.
What if you started at like 4:30 in the? What if you go earlier? 4:30 in the morning to like 6:15.
A lot of live listeners going there, baby. No doubt about that. But
it's 5 o'clock somewhere,
So if I went 10 to noon, it wouldn't, trample your show or his or you. I don't mean by, power. That's not what I mean. But taking up your space, I don't want to do that to either you or Joe. So if I did it 10 to noon, it'd be best, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for us, because we're so much on demand at SKOR North, it's not as much of an issue. It's funny because like more inside baseball here, but a couple like 2-3 years ago, as we're talking to traditional media advertisers about podcasting and just like the boom and the growth of podcasting, and one of the main questions we would get is, so what time will my ads run? And it's like, well, if it's if it's a podcast, it'll run whenever Tevin clicks play.
Right.
It might run at 2 a.m. if he's a night owl. It might run an afternoon drive if he clicks play in his car at 4:15. So
that's correct.
I find that interesting.
But they can hear it over and over and over again. That's the other good side of it, because it's not live. Your spots run over and over and over again.
And if the episode is good enough, maybe people go back and listen to it twice for such great opinions and takes on things.
Oh, don't praise Judd like that. It just,
I didn't mean Judd. No, I did not mean Judd.
I didn't mean Judd.
I meant Declan, clearly, and myself.
Declan's a good guy, too. But, I'm trying to kind of like squeeze it in. But I'll be honest with you, I'm probably only going to be on a couple more years. So I figured I'd kind of slide into a spot that doesn't impede on anybody else. Just grow through it a couple more years and then, just fade off into the distance.
Just fade. Do you have an idea of what, like, have you thought about what you want your final episode to do or sound like? Do you have you put any thought into that?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, it would be, thank you, listeners. Everybody else, go F yourself.
Yeah.
That'll be my closing.
And then literally drop your mic.
And then literally drop the mic.
And walk out the door.
Opens a scroll with a list of names that he's telling to F themselves.
Oh, there's a scroll, believe me. I do have to ask you this, Phil, because it does bother me quite a bit. Why is it that people cannot stand great success? If you're very successful, people who loved you at one time now hate your guts, and that would be the Kansas City Chiefs right now. They're very, very successful. I don't hate them for that. But people, well, again, I went through it personally. We had a 40 share, highest rated morning show in America.
Yeah.
On a dime, people started hating my guts. It's like, what?
Well, jealousy and envy are very,
I suppose,
very powerful drugs.
But see, I just talked to you about your successful show and Joe's successful show. I'm happy for you. That's great. You guys have good success. I haven't come anywhere near that peak yet, and I may never if I only do it a couple more years. Good. You were great success. I'm happy for you.
Well, we have in turn never come near a 40 share at the peak of radio in a top market. So we're aspiring to the legacy that you have built and created in this market, Tom.
One warning, if you ever do. Whoever your general manager is will turn on you like there's no tomorrow because they feel like they have no control over you anymore. I mean, a prick that turned on me, luckily he doesn't live in Minnesota or Florida. I'm glad. Well, he might live in Florida. He might live in the west coast of Florida, but that's nowhere near here. So
yeah. Well, real quick on the Chiefs analogy that you like, you build up success and you hate. I think if there was like a radio comparison, so like Nielsen would be the referee of like the measurement, right? The third party referee. So there's a lot of controversy over the Chiefs getting favorable calls in these games. And once again, you had a key moment in the fourth quarter yesterday where the Bills are leading by 1. It's 10 minutes to go in the game. They're in field goal territory. They go for it on 4th down. I think to everyone watching at their house, in a bar, the Bills got the first down. And the referees say, no, actually, they had 2 referees that couldn't decide on the spot.
Right.
And they wind up giving the ball to the Chiefs, who go down and score a touchdown. I don't know. It'd be like if you had an inside job, if someone someone who's given you 10 extra points off the like the Nielsen ratings or something. That people are mad because they think the refs are helping the Chiefs, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, I didn't watch enough of it to see any of that stuff. I saw some really good plays, coming and going. I watched both games yesterday, but like I said, popping in and out and that kind of thing. I'll give you a prime example also what I'm talking about here. I admired for my whole life, even though we kicked the piss out of him, I always admired Howard Stern. He did something no one had ever done before, and I admire him for that. And I've talked about it before. Has he ever responded? No, because he's an asshole. That's the difference. He's very successful. Congratulations, but he's not a good person.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many people that you think the way they come off on their show or never meet your heroes, I guess, is one of the lessons of media for sure.
Well, look what a great guy I am in person.
I mean, Tom, you are the amount of people that come up and just bear hug you.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Tommy.
No, it's just, look, all things have to fall your way. You can't step up and say, I'm the greatest of all time. You had a lot of help in there and a lot of breaks and a lot of things went your way. You do have to take that into consideration too.
Yeah. Yeah. Circumstance, timing.
Yep.
Hell, timing, circumstance, era, all sorts of factors go into media success.
I'd like to be happy for the Vikings, but they've never won a Super Bowl, so I can't be happy for them.
No. Well, they will though.
Will they?
Positive Phil feels good about the direction of the Minnesota Vikings. Although I will say, so I know you were ducking in and out, but the Eagles are the NFC representative going into the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And they ran for like 230 yards. The biggest, if you're the Vikings and you're taking notes yesterday, and you watch the Eagles in particular. The Eagles have run for 3,700 yards in the regular season. It's the most rushing yards in the history of the NFL in one season, regular season and postseason. Now you play more games now than you did 50 years ago, but it's throwback, man. Like back in the day, the NFL started in the 1920s or something, 100 plus years ago. And the forward pass wasn't even really a viable option for decades. Right. That's kind of the Eagles, man. Like the Eagles, they got some good wide receivers, but they say, we're just going to hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, and we have 340-pound behemoth offensive linemen who are going to move you out of the way. The Vikings need to do more of that. Move people out of the way and run the ball.
And what we need is a team like the Giants to say, we don't really need Saquon Barkley.
Right.
Just let him go to our rivals. Like that's probably the most bizarre. Like, and now we're seeing it on video where they're in like the general manager's office and like, we don't really need Saquon. And now he's just running wild and about to win a Super Bowl. It's amazing.
I will tell you, man, I will never, ever, ever forget the worst football play in my lifetime when you don't give the ball to Chuck Foreman on the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you, bud?
Yeah.
It's Chuck Foreman, for God's sake. That's an automatic touchdown. No, I'm Brent McClanahan. I don't know him, never knew him all that well. Pretty good player. Happened that he fumbled. So, it's unfortunate. But why Chuck Foreman wasn't going over the top with that, I will never, ever understand.
Don't overthink it, coaches. Don't overthink it. The Bills kind of did that yesterday. The Bills have built this, that we're going to, for the first time in the Josh Allen era, we're going to be a run-centric team. We've got James Cook, former Viking running back, Dalvin Cook's brother.
Yep.
And they didn't run the ball till the second half. It's kind of crazy. Here's another fun stat for you. So the Eagles had 7 rushing touchdowns yesterday in that game. The Vikings had 9 all season. The Eagles had only two fewer rushing touchdowns yesterday than the Vikings had all season.
They don't have any running backs. They got okay running backs. Not one of them's good.
Yeah, it's kind of
certainly not great.
Yeah, they need a dude at running back, and they also just need like at least 2 more offensive linemen to come in and stabilize things.
Well, their offensive line is dreadful.
Well, we have $70 million in cap space potentially. This should be a busy offseason for us, right, Phil?
Yeah, it shakes out to be like between 60 and 70 million, depending. They can do some things to clear up more. But yeah, the Vikings have like the 5th most money to spend. It's the second week in March that the NFL free agency period opens up, and it's great because like casual fans, we don't know who the left guard is for the Colts or whatever, but you're going to hear names of offensive linemen that you didn't really know who they were, and you're going to be begging for the Vikings to spend $18 million a year on someone.
Trey Smith.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
So, yeah, like I said, I did kind of pop in and out after watching 2 horrendous Viking games in a row. I thought they'd be a lot better in the playoffs than they were. But again, there are a lot of weaknesses on that team, mostly offensive line. The running backs, not great. I mean, they're not bad. They're just not great.
They're soft. They're soft.
That's a good way to put it. I've been following them for a long, long time. Actually, I put in a call to Souche this morning, see if he wanted to come on and comment on it, but I haven't heard back from him, so I don't think he wants to comment on it.
Old Souchy boy. Yeah.
Souchy, got to have known him for, when Souche and I first competed, we went after each other like there was no tomorrow. God,
on the shows? Did you call him out?
Oh, he called me out. I called him. We were attacking each other. Now I consider him a pretty good friend, which is kind of how life should be.
Yeah. What's been, because what's, just real quick, I'm going to ask, I'm going to pick your brain about the industry. What's been your strategy, like radio mostly, because when you have morning show versus morning show, you didn't really call out Howard Stern, right?
Not
you just
once.
let him. So what has been your strategy? When to call people out, when not to call people out?
Oh, I think that might have something to do with, with Joe and just how that whole thing went. Like I said, I was on Joe's show at the beginning. I've been trying to get Joe booked on this show for 2 years now. We still can't get him booked. And I called him this morning. He still's not on. So I don't know if he just doesn't get the messages or what happened, but I really like Joe. I think the whole deal was all about, I just ignored people on the show. Just, if you want to go after me, good for you. Star Tribune, I ignored them after a while. They're still going after me, so whatever. I don't care. If you get big, you are going to get attacked. There's no question about that. The bigger you are, the harder they're going to punch you right in the gut. Why is that? What is that about success that people hate so much?
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. It's I've certainly not dealt with anything near the level of your media success. People punch me in the gut because they hate my Kirk Cousins takes. Like that's that's the vitriol I get. And I'm right about him, by the way. Yeah.
Well,
although I had someone jump into I might pick a fight with a random Twitter guy now. Some guy jumped in last night and said, "Well, Mackey, based on your logic, Josh Allen is garbage because he can't win a Super Bowl, just like you said about Kirk." You got me. Yeah.
Josh
totally
Allen.
apples to apples comparison there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to take that one, I suppose, when people get all pissed off at you because you didn't support their team. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's one of those situations. Look, I've had a magnificent life. There's no question about it. I love it. Had a great career, 54 years in the same business and, running the central part of the United States for Capitol Records. It's been a wonderful life. Yes, I started with nothing and I had a wonderful time, and that's because of you, the people of America. So how could I get pissed off, right? You want to come after me? I understand.
Yeah. Unless you disagree with Tom's Kirk Cousins takes, then absolutely.
Yes, that's totally different.
Full come after him. Yes.
So do you have a take that stands out as like your worst sports take? So like at the beginning of Adam Thielen's career, like all my friends loved him because he was from Minnesota, one of us. He was a special teams guy. And I was like, the only reason everybody likes him is because he's from Minnesota. And then he goes on to have this great career. Do you have a take that is like, oh yeah, I really regret opening my mouth and saying that?
So many of them. I mean, when you're blabbing for like 3 to 4 hours a day on a microphone, like you're gonna say some dumb stuff. But do you guys remember like 10 years ago, the Twins? I used to cover the Twins beat, and I would go down and I would watch. I'd be covering every spring training game, and then I would go to like the side minor league fields and watch all the young minor leaguers and stuff. And they had a prospect like 10 or 12 years ago named Oswaldo Arcia. He was a left-handed hitting kind of corner outfielder, just a massive dude. And I saw him hit an opposite field home run over like right left-handed hitter over the left-handed grandstand or whatever. And I remember on the radio in articles like, this guy, and the Twins had released him a couple years later. I said, this is the next David Ortiz. They are going to regret. It's going to be a Hall of Fame career. He's going to make them pay. It hasn't quite happened yet.
It's early.
It's only 12 years.
I've done that same thing myself. You see a guy and you go, oh my God, this guy is good. It's going to be phenomenal. Yeah. Doesn't work out. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. He's not dead yet, so I still have a chance.
Yes.
He could.
Hey, look, I was very, very fortunate. I grew up in the Harmon Killebrew, Jim Cott, Rod Carew. My God, those teams. And I'm skipping over Herbeck just because he's a good friend of mine. I don't want to praise my good friends. You know what I mean? Tim Laudner, forget it. You're not getting any praise from me, Lottie. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because they're friends. But no, I understand exactly what you're saying. I look back now at those times, and I still, how much joy that gave me when the Twins won 2 World Series, because I'd been following them since I was, I think, 9 years old when they came to town. Something like that, or they didn't come. Yeah. Where did they move from?
Washington Senators.
Oh, that's right. They're the Washington
Senators.
There you go. But yeah, so I just, it's been a wonderful sports watching life. I wish we had won a couple of those Super Bowls. That would have been great. But maybe someday before Uncle Tommy goes tits up, they'll win a Super Bowl.
Tits up. That's the new slogan for the Vikings in 2025. We used to, for years, we've said, just one before I die. Let's get more specific. Just one before Uncle Tommy goes tits up. Let's put it on a T-shirt.
And it's got nothing to do with women. It's men we're talking about.
Yes.
Men have
we're talking about your tits specifically.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole different deal. Now, at one point in my life, when I weighed about 80 pounds more, they were bigger titties than they are now, but that's a different story.
Oh, my God.
That's a great endorsement right there.
Oh, so there you go. All right. Any other ways I could ruin your career?
I'll put some thought into it, and I'll get you a specific list of ways on Friday. How about that?
Okay. Well, so basically, no matter what time I'm on, it's not going to bother you, because, and not that I would take over your, that's not what I mean, but I just don't want to get in anybody's way is what I'm saying.
No, we're very much on demand, and I mean, we're recording several hours of things a day, but most of it is not live. So you would not be live clomping on what we're doing. No.
And again, not that I do any damage. It's just I try to be polite to people that I like. I mean, I like Judd a lot more than you, but
I mean, obviously.
That's just a given. But we look forward to talking to you on Friday, Pally.
Sounds good. All right. Tits up, everyone. Go.
Phil Mackey, SKOR North, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Chris Egert coming up next.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain, and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
If you've never been in an auto accident, it's hard to know what to expect from the insurance adjuster. Here are some tips. 1, if they taught you about whether or not you should hire a lawyer, it's a good sign that you probably should. 2, it's illegal for them to give you any legal advice. They aren't lawyers and they aren't licensed to practice law. 3, if they tell you that everyone involved in the accident is at fault, they're wrong. This comes from the belief that you're at fault for just being on the road. That's nonsense and not supported by any law. Finally, remember that friendly adjusters are often just gaining information. They want you to do most of the talking so they can file their report. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision. But if you are, don't sign anything until you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Channel 5's Chris Egert, brought to you by Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. So the world is all in a tizzy this morning, Chris, because Kansas City's going to the Super Bowl again, and people are very, very pissed off because we were just talking about the more you succeed, the more people hate your guts.
Isn't it funny? It's like how everything turned against the Patriots back in the day.
Yep.
And then they went from being like beloved to hated. And success is a weird thing. And I respect what it takes to have a successful team year in, year out from that standpoint. But I get from a fan who you're like kind of like, oh, I'm really over this. And it's hard to like Philly just because it's Philly.
I love Philadelphia. You don't like Philly?
No, I was just talking to Hannah, actually. A guy who I played college basketball with, his kid is a rookie on the Philly team this year and plays, and he's a stud. And so if I was ever going to root for Philly, it's going to be this year because I don't really have any horse in the race. So I guess I'll root for Philly.
I don't think I maybe mentioned this to you before, but my very first time going to a wedding in Philadelphia, walking down the street, cop leaning up against the fence, walk by him and go, "Good afternoon, officer." He goes, "Yeah, right." So you can't even say good afternoon in Philadelphia. Right? I love that.
I like that.
I do too.
No, I got no problem. I've got no problem with that. It's I just look at it from the lens of all those Vikings fans that went out there. Yeah, when we had our shot to go to the Super Bowl and how crappy everybody was to them. I mean, I'm not surprised, but
Channel 5's Chris Egert, brought to you by Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation. No, I did, but I like that whole take on the whole situation. It's just calm down. Before Uncle Tommy dies, they might get back to a Super Bowl, but I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be holding my breath for them Vikings, man. I
know.
You have to find the fountain of youth if you want the Vikings Super Bowl.
It's just the way life is. It's just the way it is. Any big news stories we should know about?
There's a lad on the lam.
From where?
I just
big
wanted
house?
to say that.
Okay.
Yeah, a kid escaped from Carver County. Well, a kid escaped. A 17-year-old escaped down in Carver County. Because they were transferring or something and he ran away. Right. He's 17 years old, no imminent threat to the public. I really just wanted to say there's a lad on the lam.
See?
That's the only reason I mean, there's other things happening too, but I really wanted to get your attention with that. The key to a good story, Tommy, is to bring them in with that good headline.
Yeah. Next time you do it, though, if you do it on television, are you gonna read that story on television today?
There's a lad on the lam this morning,
and then you got to add in nice parenting. Throw that in.
Yeah, I blame the parents. Throw that in there.
Listen, as the father of a 17-year-old who is a pretty good kid, there is a certain point where you do not have a lot of control over what exactly these kids are doing. It's you control some things, but on the other hand, there does get a point where you can't be there for every moment of every day.
No question.
Much to my chagrin.
The great thing is that you don't have any bad news this morning, really.
Oh, I do.
Do you?
There was a lady there's a lady from Minnesota who died in a skydiving accident down in Arizona. 55 years old.
That's terrible.
In like one of the I think it's the most popular skydiving spot. It's between Phoenix and Tucson, south of Phoenix, at a place called Skydive, Arizona. I don't know. Would that be the way there could be worse ways to go, right?
Not much worse, I don't think. Like, that's a pretty rough way to go, to like be falling and knowing that your chute didn't open and you're essentially just waiting.
Well, maybe she didn't realize it until it was like, yeah, I guess you think about it. I was thinking because she's doing a skydiving, which is obviously something that she loved to do. But I guess at some point the light goes off where you're like, oh wait, this is not, and then that would be awful.
Did she not have like an instructor with her or anything like that? It was a solo dive?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it was a solo dive, but I don't know the answer to that, because if she had a tandem master with her, that's the whole reason they have people fly tandem, to make sure that stuff doesn't happen. But have you guys ever skydived?
No, you're not going to catch me jumping out of a perfectly good plane.
Yep.
Did it once with a tandem master, and we still almost tumbled out of control.
Is that how you lost your wheel?
No, but you're supposed to do this thing called an arch. So they practice with you for like half a day, and you've got the person behind you, but you need to do an arch to make your body, the surface area, be able to take the most air so you come down better. And I didn't arch correctly, and we got in a roll.
Oh, God.
And I didn't realize it till it was after the fact, but like we landed and we got on the ground, and the tandem master was like, well, that you had me pretty anxious there for a while. And I'm like, what? Why? We landed. He's like, yeah, I had a hard time getting us out of that roll. And I was like, so I've never done that again, needless to say.
Well, now you're a pretty big guy, so was that the problem? Because you're a big guy, so getting it under control must be a lot harder.
Probably just because I lack coordination or
that too.
That's probably what it really came down to.
I understand that.
Chris thinks they're having fun doing somersaults, and the guy's just panicking, trying to get the chute out.
Yeah.
None for me is all I got to say. I have no interest in skydiving whatsoever.
I definitely wouldn't do it again, but I was young and it was for a story. And when you're young and you got a cool story and you're like, this will be cool. But I think the older you get, that the whole risk thing isn't quite as wonderful as it was when you were young.
I could see that.
There was an ICE arrest, guy from Minnesota, in some of these waves of immigration's custom enforcement arrests that are happening around the country. 28-year-old who'd been charged with 3rd and 4th degree criminal sexual conduct in 2018.
Oh, God.
He was nearly one of 1,000 undocumented individuals who were arrested over the country over the weekend. So that's something that happened as well.
On the way out, I got to tell you this. I cannot tell you how happy I am that I didn't get a chance to vote this year, because I never got my ballot because I was on the road. So they had to send me a ballot, and everybody goes, "Well, it's blah." Yeah, I was on the road. They had to send me a paper ballot. That's the only way I could vote. Well, I never got it. I cannot tell you how happy I am that I didn't vote in this year's election. With all the anger, holy Christ! I can't blame it on me. I didn't vote, man.
Put your hands up in the air.
I didn't vote. Don't blame me.
Well, I'll give him this, and I don't think anybody's surprised. Donald got the White House, and he started doing stuff.
I guess so. Are people pretty pissed off? It seems like it from reading the newspaper and watching CNN. It's
the lines are set, and the people who are going to be pissed about the stuff he does are mad, and the people who are glad that he's fulfilling the promises he said he was going to, then they're happy. So I heard an interview with J.D. Vance on this weekend, talking about the economy, which is the big thing that I think a lot of people thought was one of the big factors for him winning. And he's like, it's going to take time. And I saw today that Dow futures are way down. There's some new Chinese AI that came out, and it's supposedly going to throw the NASDAQ all off today, because it basically, for far less than what the big American AI companies are doing, this thing can do it for a lot cheaper. So the tech markets are bracing for a bad day today too. So
one day, big deal has happened before.
Yeah, it just goes to show it's complicated. Whoever's sitting in the White House, that doesn't automatically just put money in your pocket,
There is no question about it. You be you and you vote for whomever you want. I think, and I was actually very public about this, I probably will never vote again because I just don't need to. I've already been through the part of my life where I needed to do it. So, and again, if you want to vote if you're 90 years old, that's your business. But I just don't think I'll ever vote again. There's just no reason to.
Will you vote for a winner in the Puppy Bowl?
That I might do. That I could do. Yes, absolutely. No question about it. But yeah, I never received my ballot, so I did not vote. I didn't know this was going to happen, but I didn't get a chance to vote this year. And I'm really happy that I didn't vote because you can't blame it on me. No matter who won, you couldn't blame it on me.
Yeah, it's there's not going to be too many dull moments in the next 4 years. I can assure you that.
Oh my God. No doubt about it. All right, Pally, we will talk to you tomorrow.
Gentlemen, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. Channel 5's Chris Egert, brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. We shall take a break. And I'll bring in some Italian guy in here. It never ends, is all I'm saying. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, and we're just getting started. Fireworks are starting in the next segment.
I just see him in the green room doing the hands.
Oh, is he already? He's ready
to rock.
All right, Sandy is up next.
Let's take a second to talk about my bank, North American Banking Company. Look, there's no shortage of banking options in the Twin Cities. If you're tired of being just a number to your big national bank, be sure to talk to my friends at North American Banking Company. And I got to tell you, I talked to Bilski a couple of times this morning. One of my best friends, he hates when I say that, but it's true. He's a good guy. I shouldn't have probably said that, but what a good guy Mike is. Oh, they offer the same online and mobile banking options as other banks, but with the unparalleled service of a community bank. I also like being able to go to any of their 6 Twin Cities locations: Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's time for Bradshaw and Bryant. At this time of year, something that we might not think about, slipping and falling on ice when you're out, or worse, someone slipping and falling on your property. Property owners are legally responsible for maintaining a safe environment for visitors. You can post a caution sign or de-ice the area. Failing to do either and somebody getting injured because of your lack of safety precaution can be considered negligent. If someone does slip and fall and suffers an injury, they have a certain amount of time to file a claim, or you lose your right to collect any damages for your injury. If this happens to you, contact an experienced attorney right away. It's free to meet to go over your case. Contact Mike Bryant of Bradshaw and Bryant at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. I hope this never happens to you, but if it does, Mike Bryant is the one I recommend to all my friends and listeners.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
All right, before we get to Bob, I got to bring something up here. Bob, you'll like this anyway. We have 9 o'clock open, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Could one of you guys reach out to Joe? Because I got to read this. This is such a Joe thing. I love Joe Soucheray. He's that kind of guy, right? I posted this morning about 7:30, I guess it was. Joe, Tom Barnard here. Do you have time to hop on my show this morning till around 9? Your time, 5 minutes. I just watched a couple of minutes here and there last night. Seems Casey is a pack of cheating devils. The question I have for you is, why can't people cheer great success? His response? Sure. That's his whole response. I love that. You guys have no sense of humor. Blow it out your ass. Anyway, so if one of you guys reach out and see if we can get Joe on at 9, that'd be a perfect time. And thank you, Joe, by the way. Great guy. Bob Sansevere Sports brought to you by Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury lawyers seeking justice for the injured. Contact Bradshaw and Bryant at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. That's MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. Bob Sansevere. A lot to talk about this morning, Bob.
Oh, there's plenty. And by the way, let me just start by saying, love listening to Egert. I don't care if I have to sit and wait an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Sprinthal sent me the Lammers Casey Kasem thing that he did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, that's hilarious.
Phenomenal.
So, anyway, I'm good with how long I have to wait.
So, Bob,
yeah,
that game yesterday, people sure are pissed off at Kansas City, man.
Well, because they're successful.
Yep.
But how do you suddenly, okay, you don't want the Chiefs to win. How do you root for the Eagles, who have the most despicable fans maybe in the history of sports? These people are just savage. And these are my people. I grew up in, they're an hour from Philly. They're the ones that throw full cans of beer at you if you're a fan for the other team.
Oh,
and they'll throw, this one guy in 2017 when the Vikings played in the championship game, he's one of the fans. You've probably seen him on TV. Got the long white coat. He got the nice purple suit. There was no white that could be seen. It was loaded with mustard and ketchup because they were pelting this guy with hot dogs and probably just taking the thing and squeezing the ketchup on him. But that's just typical of them. And we all saw the thing a few weeks ago, the guy who just berated a woman, the one who, he's just supposed to be from South Philly, some, longshoreman. He was like an investment broker. And he wound up losing his job over it. These fans are nuts. So
why is it so personal, Bob? Look, yes, it does bother me. The Vikings look so terrible in the playoffs. They had a great year, terrible in the playoffs. I've suffered through 4 Super Bowls that they lost. I'm still a Viking fan. I'm not going to lose my mind. I love the Vikings. They've never won the big one, but there I am all these years later rooting for them.
I would pay, Tom, to watch if they were to put cameras in. I'm sure they haven't, but put them live on some station on Bourbon Street just to watch the fights breaking out between the Eagles and Chiefs fans.
Oh,
that
God.
would be worth watching. The 24-hour, cam or Bourbon Street cam to watch, because that week is going to be hellacious down there.
Right.
And the fan. Because here's what I don't get. People don't want to see them win 3 in a row. I think it'd be terrific. It'd be history, and we all could watch it, because it may not happen again until they win 4 in a row. That sort of
got to win 4 in a row to be 50-50.
Well, I think this team is they earlier in the year, the Chiefs, they got no offense, blah, blah.
Right.
They find a way to win. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid find ways to win.
Yep.
Here's the thing to keep in mind about yesterday's game. I know people are all worked up. They got as Marjorie Taylor Greene said, their undies are in a wad because of, she didn't say it about this. She said it about something else, but because, of the 4th down play where if you're a Bills fan, you absolutely are convinced he got a first down. You couldn't tell. They have dozens of cameras and they couldn't get a better angle. So you got to go with what the officials called. It was close, but there was these hulking bodies in the way to see. But what we didn't see yesterday is Travis Kelce having a big impact on that game. He will in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles will lose and the Chiefs will win. And there's something about that Eagles team. Saquon Barkley's phenomenal. But Jalen Hurts will find a way to put the ball on the ground or in someone's hands.
You think so, really? So it's Kansas City. I got a question for you, Sandy. Did you know Patrick Mahomes Sr.?
Only to cover him, I didn't know him real well. I mean,
Great guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've heard. And here's what I like about the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. He's a family guy. I like his voice. It's crazy. Yeah. Cartoon voice. But his commercials, he seems like he's a decent guy. And even when they did that quarterbacks thing, there's nothing about him that you'd say, what a jerk. He's just
his
seems like a
father.
likable guy.
Patrick Mahomes Sr., one of the nicest guys. I only met him a couple of times, very briefly, but he was very, very nice. Who knew all those years later his son would win 2 Super Bowls, maybe 3 in a row.
Yeah, and he's going for number 4.
And going for number 4 too, yeah. But 3 in a row?
Yeah, it's phenomenal to watch. And nothing. He's unflappable.
Yep.
And I kept saying because I watched with my 2 oldest sons and 3 of their friends, the play that no defense can stop is when he rolls to the right, because then he can run or he can throw it. I would run that on every down until they stop it, because he'll get a first down running, or he'll complete a short pass. They don't go deep anymore, but they don't have to.
Yeah, no question about. Who knew that all those years later that Patrick Mahomes' son would win all those Super Bowls, maybe 3 in a row, we don't know yet, and all the rest of it. And I also want to pull for Philadelphia. I'm pulling for both teams. I pull for Philadelphia because I love tiramisu. So,
well, they have really good pretzels.
There's
nothing like the Philly pretzel, where you get a block. You get like a block of 5.
Yep.
When you buy them, there were those things. I used to love going to Philly events and games just for the pretzels.
I understand, Sandy. So we'll all live through it. But
I just think it will be a fun Super Bowl. The thing, and I like Saquon Barkley. He's the only thing on the Eagles, or the player I do really like. Mm-hmm, but he is their best hope to win this game. Look what he did against the Commanders yesterday. That touches the ball, 18 seconds. Time of possession, 18 seconds. Meantime, Washington had it for 7 in their opening drive.
I think he started the game. I saw a stat where he had 3 carries and like 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it was like he was just going to have one of those days.
So that's why I'm really looking forward to. Look forward to all the Super Bowls. And I won't be at this one, but I counted them up, and I've been at like 24 of them that I covered, and there is no better place than New Orleans because of Bourbon Street.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That place is so much fun when there's a big event. I've been in Final Fours and Super Bowls, and I think they should alternate strictly between Vegas and New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Because Vegas, those are towns made for crowds.
They are indeed. I absolutely love New Orleans. Been there several times. You don't want to wander too far off the main beat, though.
Oh, God, no. Bourbon Street, great. 2 blocks away from Bourbon Street, get back to Bourbon Street.
You got it.
Bob, you said you've been to like 24 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
Is there any of them that stand out? I guess I didn't know that you frequented the big game.
Well, I covered. It started when I was working at the Asbury Park Press. The first game I covered was the Dick Vermeil's Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl, where they lost. And then I had one that I missed, I think 1 year or 2 years, when I worked at the Associated Press. And then when I came out here, I went to like 20 plus. And then, of course, the 2 here that I covered. But, yeah, I went to a bunch of them, covering it for the Star Tribune and the Pioneer Press. And the one that I probably – I think this might have been the last one I went to, when Tampa Bay played Oakland. And the reason I really liked it is because there were both teams had former Vikings quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Rich Gannon playing for the Raiders, and obviously Brad Johnson for Tampa Bay.
Yep.
And also, you had coaches that were involved in it too. Mark Trestman was the coordinator, I think, for the Raiders at the time. And you had Monty Kiffin, who was a great guy. He was the defensive coordinator down in Tampa Bay. So I enjoyed that one because I knew several of the key, players and coaches in that, in those games. And I enjoyed the Giants' first Super Bowl when Phil Simms won. You don't remember Phil Simms? Never heard of him?
Yeah, I know who Phil Simms. Sorry.
Sorry.
We're
trying to get something.
We're working on the Soucheray booking over here. So.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
He haven't responded yet?
Yeah. No, I'm going to call him here in a minute.
Oh, but he
I just had to get the right number for him. That's all.
Oh, I understand. I'm sorry. I should have. Well, I should have just said it on the air. His home number.
I works the magic.
Yeah.
I'm going to be calling.
Nobody. I remember when Passel gave out the name and number of the hotel I was staying at.
I remember.
And I had several people call. This one guy called and I said, "Yeah." Well, hey, Bob. Yeah. And he goes, well, I just figured I'd call. Well, what do you want to say? Nothing. He just figured he'd call my room. Okay, it's
Love
not like
that
you woke
stuff.
me up in the middle of the night. I just got off the show. So
All right, Sandy. Well, you think it'd be a hell of a Super Bowl? You going with KC?
I am going with KC because
Yeah.
I just think that it will happen. And I think that I will take Andy Reid over Nick Sirianni any day of the week.
Yeah, that's true.
I have
Bob,
no doubt.
We'll talk to you later in a week.
I live for that moment.
Thanks, Pally.
See ya.
Bob Sansevere Sports brought to you by Bradshaw and Bryant Personal Injury Lawyers. Seeking justice for the injured, contact Bradshaw and Bryant, MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. Coming up now, I hope he's not listening to this part. As I say, coming up, one of the guys who blew podcasting sky high very, very early on, as a matter of fact. One of the great podcasters in America, as a matter of fact. I'm hoping that Joey will. Do you think Joe will actually show up, or he'll just go, oh, you know what, I had to duck out?
Well, I don't know. I texted him and then he gave me a different number. So who knows if that's a phony line or what? But we have to see.
All right. Well, we'll try to have Joe Soucheray on next.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, well, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Yes, you are. Tevin's here. AJ's here. How are we doing?
We also have another guest with us, Mr. Joe Soucheray.
Joe Soucheray, ladies and gentlemen, the king of podcasting. See, I get to do that to you now, pal. How you doing?
Where are you?
I'm hiding.
Figured.
I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. That's where I am.
Oh, let me get out a small violin.
No, I just wanted to point out, ladies and gentlemen, that you took podcasting to all-time highs and you remain there. You've done a great job with your podcast in this market and across. Well, it's not just this market; it's around the world because it is digital. But I just wanted to get your take on something. I thought, I wonder what Joe would think of this, because everywhere I turned this morning, now I didn't watch. I popped in and out of the game yesterday. But everybody now hates the Kansas City Chiefs because they've succeeded. Joe, what do you think it is about people when you succeed too much in America, we now hate you?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's been true with the Yankees. And, when the Montreal Canadiens won 6 or 7 out of 9 cups, I bet it was true of them. And now it's going to be true of the Dodgers because of the money they spent. And I think it's human nature because everybody else then becomes the underdog. No matter how good a team you are, you become the underdog because you're so convinced that the team that they're playing has won too much, and it's really happened with Kansas City. It's really happened. They aren't liked.
Yeah, there's no question about it. But again, I'm going back 40 years now. Oh, yeah, it is 40 years ago now. At first, Joe used to go after me, which I thought was hilarious. And then all of a sudden, I just, he cut way back on it. And Joe, I've really admired what you've done. You've taken podcast. I've been, doing a podcast now for about 14. How many years has it been for you?
We started the podcast in September of 2018.
There you go.
Let me do the math. What's that? 7 years coming up.
7 years coming up. You've done a great job with it. But I thought this morning when I woke up and I saw all this happening now with everybody, if you're too successful in America, people begin to hate you. I don't understand that. I just don't get it.
The only thing I can come up with is that it turns everybody else into an underdog.
Well, good point. That's a good point.
Taylor Swift, I think, has to be factored into this.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
That's never happened before where a celebrity of that stature would be, viewed in the press box or in the private suites and the camera turning to her. That's all new. I think the NFL loves that, by the way. But it's all new, and it just reinforces that they have too much going for them. Therefore, the other team's the underdog.
Yeah, I guess. I've always been in a situation where, once again, when I would start paying attention to when you guys started the podcast and all the rest of it, and it grew and grew and grew. I went, hey, man, that's wonderful. Those guys took something, did something with it no one's ever done before in this market. You've done very well. You continue to do very, very well. I'm happy for your success. I assume other people are as well, but
we're not big enough to be hated yet.
I got to get bigger to be hated.
Yeah, we're not successful enough to be hated yet.
Well, look, and again, I'm not going to go on and on about it, but I had the highest rated morning show in America, and I went from being loved to hated in about 12 hours.
Nature of the beast, pal.
It is. There's no question about it. But that's why the people like you, who've been around a long time. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You're a pretty damn smart guy. So that's who I pay attention to.
Well, you're very kind. I don't know if I've helped you with these teams, but the only thing that occurs to me is that as great as Buffalo is and as great as Josh Allen is, we're the underdog.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so do you have a favorite in the Super Bowl? Do you even care?
No, I don't have a horse in the race. I think these two conference games are far better than the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is anticlimactic.
I agree with you. Okay, I know you only got a couple more minutes, but I want to get this in. I have met your cast of folks over on the show, Garage Logic, and every day, ladies and gentlemen, doing a great job. But you put together just talented people. Your people are some of the nicest people I've ever spent time with. You had me on the first time I appeared, like 2 years ago, something like that. You guys couldn't have been, except for you put me in the toilet seat. That was the only thing, Joe, that I didn't care for.
What was the toilet seat?
Well, there was I was sitting in a chair and I turned around and there was a sign right behind my chair that said toilet. You don't remember that?
No, that must have been something Royce wrote.
Oh, it was something that Royce wrote. There's no question about it. But I don't think he put me in the chair.
Oh, I know what that was. He made a note to himself because he thought it was important to tell the world that he had to install a new toilet seat.
See, this is what I'm saying.
And he couldn't do it, so he had to hire a guy.
Well, I can't do it either, but no, I just, I wanted to ask you that why it is, whether it's the Kansas City Chiefs or some podcasting guy or some radio guy or whatever it is, if you get too big, they are going to hate you. And I just don't understand it. Can't be happy for anybody, huh?
It's a shame that's the way it is, but I don't think it's any more complicated than that. I don't know why it should be like that. And it's not everybody, but
no.
It's we look something up here. Statistically, it turns out that Mahomes has no more favored pass rushing the quarterback calls called on him than any other quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that when he gets one, it's amplified by the fact that that's typical. Look at how these winners get treated. It's just typical. They're hated because they win too much.
That's exactly what it is. And I brought it up to Sansevere just before he came on, the fact that I talked to his father a couple of times when Patrick Mahomes Jr. he was probably about 5 years old. I would guess he wasn't very old.
Yeah.
But his father is one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. So you could see how the kid would succeed because his father's a great guy.
Yeah, the Chiefs are pretty cool. They handle it all pretty well.
I think so. So one of these days when I'm coming, I go back and forth and all that stuff. So they have to have you in studio one day. I would love to have you guys. You could bring everybody too. I'd love that.
We'd do it.
I would. See. You just made me happy on a Monday. I'm happy. I'm hardly ever happy on a Monday.
All right, just let me know.
I'll do it, Joe. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Have a great day.
See you later.
Bye. There's a guy one of the smartest men I've ever talked to in my life. Nicest guy in the world. But the first year I was around, boy, he used to go after me like there was no tomorrow. But hey, I got no problem with that. The guy's achieved a great thing. His podcast does huge numbers, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, he runs a really tight ship over there. I worked the state fair the past couple of years at their booth, and I mean it's interesting watching them work because him and the rest of the crew have a very fun kind of repertoire with each other, and they kind of have everything down pat, and they kind of know what works and what doesn't. And it as somebody who's still very, very fresh in the industry, similar to being on this show working with you, Tom, like there's a lot of stuff that I'm picking up and learning and taking away where it's like, okay, I never. Of course. But yeah, no, it's a fun, it's one of those, the study where it's like you have books in your house or whatever, you're going to somehow absorb the knowledge. Kind of the same thing, just kind of being around in the studio, seeing them in the halls, similar to here. It's like, I'm getting better just by being in the area. So,
but I will show there's balance in the world because while Joe and I have become friends, Patrick still can't stand. Royce still can't stand me. So it all works out in the end. There's a balance to the universe.
I'll see him later today, so maybe I'll get a good word in for you.
Very, very good. Right. Well, if you can see him later on today, tell him congratulations. He is a great writer. There is no doubt about that. No question. But I mean, that's how the world should operate. It was so nice. Last minute, I called the guy first thing on a Monday morning, and there's Joe Soucheray popping on the show. He just said, it's a great show, great guys. There's a lot of really good people out there. I mean, the people on this show do a great job. There's no question about that. You wonder why it is when you get too big, and Joe has, I think, by far the biggest podcast in the state of Minnesota. I don't even think anybody's close, are they?
I mean, if he's not one, he's 1A, I would assume.
Yeah, that's about right. So I'm happy for the guy. I think or the guys, I should say, because he's got a lot of good people working. Everybody on that show is very, very nice, very, very pleasant. But that's hilarious. They put me in the chair, and I look behind me, and it says toilet right over the seat. It's like, thank you. I really appreciate that. And Royce's reminding himself of that he had to get a toilet seat on the way home. That's what it sounded like, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, we'll take a break, be right back, and absolutely destroy the show with Kristen Burt.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain, and chip issues all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
I hosted my show on the radio for 40 years. Now I host the Tom Barnard Podcast, and I'll tell you, I've never seen the passion and engagement from our audience as I do now. I know we also have businesses that listen to our podcast, and it got me thinking. Wouldn't it be great to help those businesses grow by telling my listeners about them? So here's the deal. If you own or handle marketing for a business, would like to have my audience buy your product or service, visit TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner, and we'll put together an ad campaign to help your business. That's TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner, and thank you for listening.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Kristen Bird joins us. I have to read something to you because people are getting really, really edgy right now, and I don't know what it is. I just had the legendary Joe Soucheray on the show with the fellas here, and we had a great time. Does a great podcast. Really set the tone for the market, as a matter of fact. But somebody just sent me something from X, I guess. It doesn't matter who posted it. Thank you, Trump. $13 carton of eggs. What a deal. Making America great again. Eggs have been $13 a carton for about a year and a half now.
Yeah, but now Trump's president, so it's his fault.
Oh, so yeah, but I wouldn't blame Joe Biden for it either. The president doesn't have that much power, no matter who the president is.
Wait, you mean they don't go into the grocery store and like mark up?
I mean, yes, $13, and it's Trump's fault. Yeah, it's not Biden's fault or Trump's fault.
It's the bird flu's fault.
It's the bird flu's fault. That's very good. Look at you contributing.
Look at me. Yeah, no, it's one of the, we don't, in certain grocery stores, you'll go in and there's very limited supply of eggs, first of all,
Absolutely.
and the ones that are available are very expensive. And it's going to be that way for quite a while, unfortunately.
But I mean, people post things. It's just, look, I don't hate Biden and I don't hate Trump. They're not my kind of guys. But it's like, you can't just blame everything. Guy's been around for 4 days and everything's his fault already. Like,
well, I think because he campaigned on lowering grocery prices.
Well, it's going to take time.
Yes.
You can't do it in 4 days. Right?
Well, he said he would do it like the first day he was in office. I think
then he's an idiot for saying that.
And so people are like, well, I'll hold you accountable to that. But bird flu is very serious. And it's, I mean, not only amongst the chickens, but also cows. It affects cats. It can affect dogs.
Yeah.
People have to be very careful.
But I mean, I used to see the same thing on social media when Biden was president. Yeah, it's your fault that it's cloudy. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, I feel like that's everybody's favorite thing to do is like you get a flat tire on the side of the road and you're like, oh, thanks, Biden, or thanks, Trump, or whoever it is.
Right.
Whatever, it's just dumb.
I love that stuff. Social media has ruined the world. There's no question about that.
Oh, 100%. I was like, the more we get off of it, the better we will all be as human beings.
Yeah. I don't go on it as much as I used to, I'll tell you that, because it's just, first of all, you got to dig and dig and dig and dig to get to what you're looking for anyway, because there's so many people posting now. But look, I got a great life, you know. Biden, Trump they didn't do me any harm. Whatever. I get off your ass and maybe make more money to pay $15 for a carton of eggs.
Or just learn how to bake without eggs. I think that's the big thing.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of dupes you can use for eggs in like a cake mix.
Yeah.
So
or buy chickens.
Buy chickens in the backyard.
Just roaming around your yard. Yeah.
No, you actually have to, if you want to avoid bird flu with your own little, is it a flock of chickens? I don't know.
I think so.
It's your own. Yeah. You do have to be very careful and you have to keep them contained because if they're exposed to wild birds and the bird flu.
Oh, sure.
And like a wild bird comes into your, like, say, chicken coop, and they have bird flu, you have to eliminate all of your chickens as a result.
Damn.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought of it. I had a friend one time, this is many years ago. He was all enamored with this, well, it was a girl at that time. We were in our early teens or mid-teens, whatever. And he tried to ask her out and finally asked her out. And I guess he didn't have a great time, on the date and all that stuff. And he came over, we're playing poker, and he started railing on all women. Wasn't just her. It was all women's fault that she didn't like him. It's like, what? No, that's not how it works. But Kristen, I'm sorry, but it was your fault that he didn't have a good date.
It might be him.
Yeah, maybe it's
if
him.
you're blaming all women, guess what? You are the common denominator in that equation, and you might want to do soul coaching.
I don't know. Are we going to get through all this stuff? There's this flu and there's that flu and everybody hates everybody. And it's like, oh my God, settle down.
It's a tough time. I think it's a tough time. And that's why we turn to entertainment.
I love it.
And happiness.
Love it.
Yes. I just want to say, because we have talked about this and joked about this, the official trailer for the Baldwins has dropped today.
She just came and stole my phone. Catherine just came and stole my phone.
Just going through your text messages to make sure.
All of them just say F you, so that's all she's going to run into. That's all there is. Sorry about that.
The Baldwins will be premiering. We have an official premiere date on TLC Sunday, February 23rd, 10 p.m. Eastern. So for you guys, that'll be 9 p.m. I will tell you, first of all, that not only do they have 7 kids, they have 6 pets. So they have a very busy household. And they do not shy away from the Rust controversy. It is right there in the trailer. Also, she does not have a Spanish accent in the trailer. So
Oh, really?
Yes. So I guess we're not going to discuss the Spanish accent controversy, but we will discuss the Rust controversy and obviously the death of Helene Hutchins. So I guess they pick and choose their scandals.
You know, it's amazing. I got to know Danny, his brother, really pretty well. And he's, I suppose, the least successful of all the Baldwin brothers. But he's the nicest guy in the world. He's funny. He's a great guy. You know, just had a wonderful time. Met some of the other ones. I wouldn't spend a minute with any of them.
The family doesn't spend a minute with each other. So
they don't.
They don't like each other.
Good God.
No, and Hailey Bieber, she's Bieber now because she's married to Justin Bieber, but she even says, like, I don't talk to them.
Jesus.
I know.
Do you think this is going to be worth kind of watching, or is it just like to see the train wreck, or is it kind of something that maybe skip out on?
I think we should all watch one episode. I don't think we need to watch more than one episode. I think one episode will give us the idea of the chaos in their lives. I obviously, and the trailer highlights that, like the paparazzi is following them. There's a lot of kids. There's a lot of chaos. He tells one of them not to pee in the pool, but of course they're at their like Hamptons estate, so it's a nice pool to pee in if you're going to pee in a pool.
Absolutely.
I wish I'd been there for the real life moment where like they signed the contract to do the show and they're probably happy about it. And then it probably hit Hilaria at some point. Like, I can't do this accent all day.
Full time. Yeah.
Like I admit to this. I wish there was that footage. I want that footage of her coming to the realization, like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah. And Kristen, is all of Hollywood like hip to the you're not really Hispanic and this is a fake accent, or is this your own personal crusade that you're like champion?
This is a worldwide. If you Google Hilaria Baldwin Spanish accent, you will see pages of it. I mean, you will see media outlets doing a deep dive on this, going, well, she was born in Boston. And I mean, they go into her background. It's really interesting to see how much time has been spent on Hilaria Baldwin's Spanish, not Spanish accent.
Hilaria, Katarina. I'm going to start calling Catherine Katarina.
Katarina.
Christina Berta. What is the upside of pretending you're somebody you're not? Are you that frightened of the world that you have to pretend you're someone you're not?
genuinely think that she loves the Spanish culture, like appreciates it, loves the food, like truly loves it, and maybe just truly wishes she was Spanish. I mean, I think it's wonderful that she speaks Spanish, loves the food, loves the culture, appreciates it, but it is weird, like all of a sudden adapting to a Spanish accent.
She's the one person that everybody had in their high school that their family went to like Spain, for a trip in the summer, and they went to Barcelona. But then when they come back, it's like, yeah, I had such a fun time in Barcelona. Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Adapting that kind of culture. It's like you don't need to make that your identity.
We need to arrange. We need to get Kristen. You need to interview her. Like I would pay to watch that.
I'd be like, what is this? Is it a cucumber?
Holding up an onion. What is the word for this?
Is this a cucumber or an onion?
Isn't that weird?
So I honestly think that once you watch one episode, you're going to catch the gist of the entire thing because it's going to be set. Here's my thought. They're going to take the kids to like the zoo, and then they're going to go to the zoo, and it's going to become chaotic because the kids are all over the place, and they're like one kid looking at the monkeys, the other one's over by the lions, and then the paparazzi show up probably because they tipped off the paparazzi, and then they're all filming it. And then, Ilaria's trying to like gather her gaggle of kids, and Alex like, oh, that's how it's going to go.
Silencio, mijo. I mean, be quiet, child.
Mijo. I always thought mijo was not a good word for a child.
Yeah, it doesn't. It sounds a little when you have the English.
I guess I don't know what it is. I just heard that.
Mijo. Well, that's my son, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Or son. Mijo. Yeah.
Okay. I just remember that.
Yeah, son and daughter.
Yeah, mijo. So, never mind. We'll just.
I get what you're trying to say. Okay, I'm taking this one down.
One thing I did love growing up in where I grew up, there were a lot of Italian kids at St. Joe's when I went there. So you'd pick up all these Italian phrases and references and all that stuff. And the greatest one was when you'd walk into their house and Grandpa was there and he was not having a good day. I go, "Good afternoon, Mr. Blah blah blah. Questo non è buono." This is not good. It's just me opening the door was not good. In other words, get the hell out. I love that stuff. In any case, so what's good to watch? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things. First of all, I've said it a few times. Have you watched Doc yet on Fox with Scott Wolf?
No, not yet. We should, though.
Yeah, you should watch that.
Right,
that is probably Fox's biggest hit in ages in terms of drama. So they're doing really well with that. I'm going to assume it's going to get a season 2 because it's doing so well. And they're doing heavy promotion of it. Scott Wolf has been literally everywhere promoting the show. And then also The Pit. Have you watched that one yet? I've mentioned that a few times. That's the one about 15 hours in the emergency room with Noah Wiley.
Oh, God.
That's on Max.
Very dramatic, I assume.
Yeah, it's a medical drama.
Yeah.
And then there is the new show with Sterling K. Brown, who I love. It's the same team that did This Is Us. It's called Paradise, and he plays a Secret Service agent and who is protecting the president, played by James Marsden. Great actor.
Love it.
A murder happens, and now he is the suspect. Sterling K. Brown is the suspect. Ooh. So it dropped last night on Hulu, the premiere episode. There'll be 3 episodes in total this week, so you can watch out for them. If you don't have Hulu, ABC is so gung-ho about this particular series that they are going to premiere it on ABC Wednesday, January 29th at, it looks like 9 Central.
Right. I got to be honest with you. I'm quite shocked that you're here. I thought you'd still be on the highway because when I talked to you on Friday, I think you had 3 blocks to go and it took you about 4 hours to go the 3 blocks.
I had 10 miles to go. And he's like, and I said, I'm in traffic and I'm going 3 miles per hour. I was going up Laurel Canyon onto the other side of the hill. And he's like, well, how long do you have to go? And I go 50 minutes.
To go 3 miles.
No, to go 10 miles.
Oh, it's again not 10 miles. That's right. There you
10
go.
miles, 50 minutes.
50
and then like 10 minutes later, he's like, are you there yet? I said, no. I said, I had 50 minutes and I'm still going 3 miles per hour.
How are things? I'll wait till you, what are you boozing it up already?
No, it's iced tea.
No, it's not. It's booze. I saw
Yeah, it's got a shot of tequila in there, but
shot of tequila in there. Yeah, but the tequila, you hid that in there when you poured it in there. But no, talking to you on that whole situation. So how is everything going out there? Is it any
We
better?
had rain yesterday.
Ooh, that's good.
Yes, it was a good solid rain. It wasn't just like a drizzle. That definitely helped put out some of the fires or some of the areas, some of the hot spots. And the other good thing to this is we did not have any mudslides yesterday because when all the brush is burned on the hillside, oftentimes the mudslides come down and damage the homes that are at the base of the hill. So if they survived the fire, but then got hit by mudslides, it doesn't help the situation whatsoever. So people were feeling very hopeful about the cooler weather. There's more moisture in the air, even though it's not going to rain, at least for the next week. But yesterday really boosted our spirits, I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's good. I mean, I watch the national news and I hear people going, we're never going to recover from this. And other people saying, oh, we'll recover from this in a minute. And it's like completely different opinions about the severity of it all. And it looks pretty severe to me.
Yeah, it's severe. 2, it's going to be a long recovery.
Right.
3, it changed the face of LA 100% because these are 2 very large neighborhoods, Pacific Palisades and Altadena, and they had a very kind of like specific type of person who lived in the neighborhood. And I will say that a lot of the homes in both neighborhoods were generational. Like it was your grandparents' house, and then the kids moved into it, and then the grandkids moved into it. Some will not be able to afford to rebuild because these homes didn't have mortgages on it. And the home that your grandparents bought for $15,000 to rebuild is going to be $5 million in the Pacific Palisades. So there will be some challenges there. There will be some developers that are going to come in and make it really generic and ugly. But I know particularly with the Altadena community, which has been a big community historically for Hispanic and Black families. They are very committed to coming back and staying in the community, the small businesses, making sure that they thrive. So I love that they have a really big sense of community and ties together and family and friendship.
Are there like rules that they didn't have to worry about before that now when they rebuild, they're going to have to rebuild differently?
There will be, just like the Northridge earthquake, which changed a lot of the building codes. We're going to see that same thing with all of these areas when it comes to fire codes, certain types of materials that they're going to have to build with. I mean, the good news is we won't have all that asbestos because when a lot of these older homes burned, they put the asbestos out into the air. And we've had to be very careful. I mean, I went out Saturday night, and it had started raining and I was in Santa Monica. Santa Monica is just next to Pacific Palisades. I walked like a block and a half from where I parked my car to the restaurant. By the time I got back to my car that night, I was coughing. I had like a sore throat. Like that's how immediate it is. It's not just like, hey, you know, if you're out for an hour outside, the air quality is bad. It's bad immediately. And hopefully some of that rain washed that away. Fingers crossed.
Wow.
Who was there was one family when they built their house, they put in their own firefighting system with the hydrants and the whole, who was that? That was brilliant.
More than one family has that.
Okay.
The most like basic version of that is having a gas powered like pump and generator that will suck out your pool water and hot tub water to protect. Other people did really simplified versions of like the oscillating sprinklers, and they just put them on their roof and did it. Other people did garden hoses. And then there are other people who invested major dollars. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars to put in basically their own little firehouse with water equipment and everything else. So
wow,
if you've got the dollars, people will do it. But I think that you're seeing in both Altadena and Pacific Palisades, certain architects that have already started to build with fire resistant materials, and those homes survived. They are probably going to be busy for decades with their designs.
That is amazing.
Kristen, I know you had your friend that unfortunately lost her house. How is she holding up? Are there any updates on kind of how she's doing?
Sure. I've had 3 friends lose their house, which really stinks. But the one I've been helping out the most, she actually just did a segment on Fox Weather over the weekend. And like, I've heard her story firsthand, but listening to it again, I have to tell you, it was so traumatizing for me. And I checked in on her and I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And she said, "It's so weird." She's like, sometimes trauma dumping is so, you think it's cathartic, and then sometimes you realize it's setting you back a little bit. And she said, as I was telling the story to the meteorologist, she said, I got like a blinding headache in the middle of it all. So it's interesting how the body is processing all of this trauma, because she's a super strong person, super strong personality. Like, I'm fine, I got this. And I keep on reaching out to her going, do you need to trauma dump on me? Do you need like a lunch, a cocktail? Do you need me to come over and clean something? Just because I know that it's the strong ones that I worry about the most,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is amazing now, too, is I got a call from a friend of mine who does a morning show down in Miami, right? And I was talking to him. He said, man, I don't know what's going on. I said, why? What are you talking about? He said, they're building a tower downtown, and it's like maybe 20 stories. And he said, so I went over there and kind of looked around. It's not quite done yet, but it's done enough to walk around it and take a gander. The condominiums start at $14 million.
Yeah, chump change.
That's where it starts, really?
What is the HOA?
Yeah, what is the HOA?
Yeah.
It's like, God. But that's the kind of neighborhood you're talking about that burned, right? I mean, those houses were worth, what, tens, hundreds of, maybe, I don't know how much.
Well, the caution about the Pacific Palisades is that so many people have lived there for decades upon decades that, again, it's going to be a situation where, yes, they bought it when housing was very affordable and it was their slice of paradise by the ocean. They may not be able to rebuild because, yes, they live amongst celebrities, but they may not have the same wealth that the celebrities do to rebuild.
And the insurance is not there either. I understand they're insured for like a third of the value from a lot of them.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, especially that very first week after everything happened, if I scrolled through Instagram, it was just GoFundMe after GoFundMe after GoFundMe. And it's really a struggle for a lot of people just to even cover their rent. Because remember, you have to cover your mortgage of your home that no longer exists.
Right.
And now you need to rent a home that's probably smaller than what you had to accommodate your kids and hopefully be in an area where the kids can still go to the same school. But now you're maybe squashed into a 2-bedroom apartment that, by the way, is $5,000 a month. God. When your mortgage, if you had it at a good rate, you were lucky enough to have that 2.5%, was a lot less than that.
Mm-hmm. I just looked it up because of what you're talking about. The average income in America, not the average, but let's say you got the top 4% that make, who knows where the top of that pile is, right? But 96%. Yeah, exactly. 96% of places in America, or people in America, make less than $100,000 a year. I didn't know the number was that high. Where are they going to get the money to do all this stuff?
They're not.
They're not.
I mean, a lot of people will leave the state if they can't afford to rebuild. They will sell to a developer, take the money, and go and build a house somewhere else, whether it's a neighborhood that's more affordable in Southern California, or they will completely leave the state. I think for others, it's, a situation where they are going to be relying on those GoFundMe campaigns. It's insane how difficult it is. But remember, in California, at least wages are higher here. A lot of people have the ability to, earn an income that will at least help them get back on their feet. But other areas where income is lower and they go through a major tragedy, we've seen lots of tragedies this year in terms of hurricanes and tornadoes. What do you do if you're earning minimum wage and you lose everything?
Move back to North Minneapolis? I could do that.
Minneapolis is expensive.
Not North Minneapolis, where I grew up. Well, maybe it is now. I don't know. I haven't been there in a while.
I mean, and just think when we were talking about grocery prices and the price of eggs and things like that, the basic day-to-day items that we buy are very expensive. So, and here I am going, hey, if you're baking a cake, you can use yogurt or applesauce. That's cheaper. But I mean, that's what people are going to have to do in some households. It's really sad.
Yeah,
it is. Well, thanks for making us tear up, Kristen. It's really a great way to start the week.
You asked about how LA is doing. We had rain.
It was a great entertainment report.
It was, as usual.
Yes, and hopefully this is a movement. Hopefully this inspires productions to come back to LA and shoot as well. I think that's maybe the one bright light that's come out of this, that people are really rallying behind that.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, we will talk to you tomorrow again.
Yes, see you all tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Kristen Burt, Entertainment News, ladies and gentlemen. So, Michael, what's the latest?
I'm waiting for you to trauma dump today.
Trauma dump?
Yeah.
On who?
Well, that's what she talked about. Her friend. Trauma
dumping. Yes,
I can't wait for you to trauma dump.
I've got this going on in my life, and it's unbelievable.
I think the only trauma dump Tom does is in the bathroom.
Exactly. And it is always traumatic. I will tell you that.
Tom and I, a couple of years ago, were riding in a bike thing for, what was it? For MS, I think it was.
Yeah, for MS.
This guy and this woman, we went by him, and as we're going by, she looks at him and says, I want to talk about our relationship. I would have just gone right off the bridge.
Not the time, honey.
Not the time, not the place, but other than that. All right, Michael will be with us on the Family Show. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, talk to you then.
Thanks. Bye.